quiet, voice, and what? Sabbath. Okay. So we have the void, we have creation, and we have Sabbath. Right, and we can put that in a lot of different ways, like quiet, silence, the activity, the creative activity, activity that's life-giving, activity that's good, in the biblical sense of the word, not going beyond productive, but that which is life-giving, that which is good. And then we have Sabbath, and Sabbath is the stillness, the silence that we practice so that we can return back to the void. Okay? So that we with me with that one? Let's look at that. Okay. So we have the void, we have the silence from which everything came, the mystery of God, the unknowability of God, and out of that mystery, out of that void came life, came creation, and creation was good. And then we have the Sabbath, 7. The Sabbath is the stillness, silence, surrender, trust, which allows us to return back to the mystery of God. Now, this is very important. When you're talking about why this model is important, I'm going to give you one example, and then y'all going to have to find some other ones. But why this model is important? Because this model really helps you understand the essence of what Jesus' life was all about. In the course of living, all of us are going to have different understandings of God, different theological views, different perspectives or ways of interpreting the Bible. But when you're talking with someone and they're talking about God and they're talking about religion, and there's no humility in how they talk, there's no sense of some grace or a humbleness in how they talk, that's a good indication that they don't really get it. Because how someone speaks is, in some sense, even more important than what they say when they're talking about religion. Because no matter what you say, or no matter what we know, we can never grasp the magnitude of who God is. We can never grasp the magnitude of who God is. So there always has to be a sense of humility in how we speak and how we approach and how we live our lives. That's why humility was the undercurrent of everything that Jesus did. Because even Jesus, when people came to him and people said, "When's the kingdom come back? When's all this going to happen?" He said, "Only my Father knows." Even Jesus said that. So there has to be a sense of humility, even as we live out our faith, in what we do and how we do it, because we're never going to get the whole picture. We never have the whole picture. So that, and when we embrace a life of humility in our words, in our actions, in our gestures, in just going in our day-to-day life, we're honoring this. We're honoring this mystery. We're honoring this void, and we're allowing ourselves to be in it, to be immersed in it. So does that make sense? Okay. So that's just something to keep in mind. But I want you to talk about how this Genesis model is manifested in your life, or can be manifested in your life. I gave the colleagues here, y'all got a good example on Saturday for the training, but don't tell them. I want to see if they get it. Okay, so we're gonna look at another video from Julian Treasure, who is basically a expert, a guru, and he basically made a whole career on teaching people how to listen. And we looked at one video last week, a TED Talk, and this is another one. He has a lot of material on this. So.
The Hindus say Nada Brahma, one translation of which is the world is sound. And in a way that's true, because everything is vibrating. In fact, all of you, as you sit here right now, are vibrating. Every part of your body is vibrating at different frequencies. So you are in fact a chord, each of you an individual chord. One definition of health may be that chord is in complete harmony. Your ears can't hear that chord. They can actually hear amazing things. Your ears can hear 10 octaves. Incidentally, we see just 1 octave. Your ears are always on. You have no earlids. They work even when you sleep. The smallest sound you can perceive moves your eardrum just 4 atomic diameters. The loudest sound you can hear is 1 trillion times more powerful than that. Ears are made not for hearing, but for listening. Listening is an active skill, whereas hearing is passive. Listening is something that we have to work at. It's a relationship with sound, and yet it's a skill that none of us are taught. For example, have you ever considered that there are listening positions, places you can listen from? Here are 2 of them. Reductive listening is listening for. It reduces everything down to what's relevant and it discards everything that's not relevant. Men typically listen reductively. So he's saying, I've got this problem. He's saying, here's your solution. Thanks very much. Next. That's the way we talk, right, guys? Expansive listening, on the other hand, is listening with, not listening for. It's got no destination in mind. It's just enjoying the journey. Women typically listen expansively. If you look at these 2, eye contact facing each other, possibly both talking at the same time. Men, if you get nothing else out of this talk, practice expansive listening and you can transform your relationships. The trouble with listening is that so much of what we hear is noise surrounding us all the time. Noise like this, according to the European Union, is reducing the health and the quality of life of 25% of the population of Europe. 2% of the population of Europe, that's 16 million people, are having their sleep devastated by noise like that. Noise kills 200,000 people a year in Europe. It's a really big problem. Now, when you were little, if you had noise and you didn't want to hear it, you'd stick your fingers in your ears and hum. These days, you can do a similar thing. It just looks a bit cooler. It looks a bit like this. The trouble with widespread headphone use is that it brings 3 really big health issues. The first really big health issue is a word that Murray Schafer coined schizophrenia. It's a dislocation between what you see and what you hear. So we're inviting into our lives the voices of people who are not present with us. I think there's something deeply unhealthy about living all the time in schizophrenia. The second problem that comes with headphone abuse is compression. We squash music to fit it into our pocket. And there is a cost attached to this. Listen to this. This is an uncompressed piece of music. And now the same piece of music with 98% of the data removed. I do hope that some of you at least can hear the difference between those 2. There is a cost of compression. It makes you tired and irritable to have to make up all of that data. You're having to imagine it. It's not good for you in the long run. The third problem with headphones is this: deafness. Noise-induced hearing disorder. 10 million Americans already have this for one reason or another. But really worryingly, 16%, roughly 1 in 6 of American teenagers suffer from noise-induced hearing disorder as a result of hearing headphone abuse. One study in an American university found that 61% of college freshmen had damaged hearing as a result of headphone abuse. We may be raising an entire generation of deaf people. Now that's a really serious problem. I'll give you 3 quick tips to protect your ears, and pass these on to your children, please. Professional hearing protectors are great. I use some all the time. If you're going to use headphones, buy the best ones you can afford, because quality means you don't have to have it so loud. If you can't hear somebody talking to you in a loud voice, it's too loud. And thirdly, if you're in bad sound, it's fine to put your fingers in your ears or just move away from it. Protect your ears in that way. Let's move away from bad sound and look at some friends that I urge you to seek out. WWB, wind, water, birds. Stochastic natural sound composed of lots of individual random events, all of it very healthy, all of it sound that we've evolved to over the years. Seek those sounds out, they're good for you. And so is this. Silence is beautiful. The Elizabethans described language as decorated silence. I urge you to move away from silence with intention and to design soundscapes just like works of art. Have a foreground, a background, all in beautiful proportion. It's fun to get into designing with sound. If you can't do it yourself, get a professional to do it for you. Sound design is the future, and I think it's the way we're going to change the world, the way the world sounds. I'm going to just run quickly through 8 modalities, 8 ways sound can improve health. First, ultrasound we're very familiar with from physiotherapy. It's also now being used to treat cancer. Lithotripsy, saving thousands of people a year from the scalpel by pulverizing stones with high-intensity sound. Sound healing is a wonderful modality. It's been around for thousands of years. I do urge you to explore this. There are great things being done there, treating now autism, dementia and other conditions. And music, of course. Just listening to music is good for you if it's music that's made with good intention, made with love, generally. Devotional music, good. Mozart, good. There are all sorts of types of music that are very healthy. And 4 modalities where you need to take some action and get involved. First of all, listen consciously. I hope that after this talk you'll be doing that. It's a whole new dimension to your life, and it's wonderful to have that dimension. Secondly, get in touch with making some sound. Create sound. The voice is the instrument we all play, and yet how many of us are trained in using our voice? Get trained. Learn to sing, learn to play an instrument. Musicians have bigger brains, it's true. You can do this in groups as well. It's a fantastic antidote to schizophrenia, to make music and sound in a group of people, whichever style you enjoy particularly. And let's take a stewarding role for the sound around us. Protect your ears, yes, absolutely. Design soundscapes to be beautiful around you at home and at work. And let's start to speak up when people are assailing us with the noise that I played you earlier on. So I'm going to leave you with 7 things you can do right now to improve your health with sound. My vision is of a world that sounds beautiful. And if we all start doing these things, we will take a very big step in that direction. So I urge you to take that path. I'm leaving you with a little more birdsong, which is very good for you. I wish you sound health.
As a CIO, I need to ensure our technology is secure, manageable, and reliable.
Okay. So that's actually the first video I want you to see. But the parallel, we hope to get it, as we were talking about, that in order for us to be created anew each and every day, each and every month, each and every year, to really live in the season that God is calling us to be in, we have to learn how to align ourselves, to attune ourselves with the sound, with the vibration of God. So it's so important, and the way we do that is through what? The way we do that is through silence, prayer. But what's the particular word in the Genesis model? Sabbath, right? Because remember, Sabbath includes all that. Sabbath is whatever we do. Sabbath is that silence, that trusting, that surrender that allows us to be placed back into the void, placed back into the mystery of God, so that we can go out and do life, do things, do work, do activity that's life-giving. Now Lisa sent me a fabulous short clip. I'm going to play that. She just sent it to me today, right? Well, yeah, last night. It's so good, it's so succinct, and it really hits right on the meat of what we're talking about, reference to Sabbath. So I'm going to play that as well, and then I want us to have some reflection.
Could God be a she? Do we ever refer to God in the feminine? We're very familiar with God being a father, a king, a him. But when is the one time when we call God she? The answer? On Friday night. In the Shabbos prayers, we refer to God as the Shabbos queen or the Shabbos bride, God in the feminine. Why is that? Why suddenly on Shabbos we call God the feminine, whereas in all other prayers we seem to refer to Him as a him? It's because there's an essential difference between the energy of Shabbos and the weekday energy. And we can understand this by comparing it to male and female as we are familiar with them in the human world. One of the cliche differences between men and women is that men are constantly trying to find solutions to problems, to fix things, whereas women have the power to appreciate things as they are, not change them, but to bring out the inner beauty. So men are always trying to create, to find solutions, to change reality, whereas women can appreciate the inner beauty that's there without changing anything whatsoever. This is the difference between the weekday energy and Shabbos energy. During the week, we are here to fix the world. We're trying to make things different. We use our creativity to improve our surroundings. That's what we do for 6 days. But on Shabbos, we appreciate the inner beauty of the world as it is. We don't need to change it, we don't need to fix it, we just need to appreciate what it is. And so, while during the week we appeal to the divine masculine, on Shabbos we usher in the feminine energy, the Shabbos bride, the Shabbos queen, because on that day we appreciate the world as it is, for what it is, without having to change it. Shabbat Shalom.
I thought that was very succinct. That was excellent. Thank you, Lisa, for sending that. So, and I think we're talking about, energy, the type of energy. I love the way you put it, type of energy in the sense that there's creative energy, there's problem-solving energy, but then there's energy of just trusting, just being still, just being, and that is. And that is something we have to balance, because it's not just about, he was talking about in reference to the particular day, but we're looking at it from the broader spectrum of the rhythm of Sabbath. And there's a time to do, and there's a time to be. There's a time to do and there's a time to be. And Sabbath is that trusting, that stillness, that silence that allows us to be, so that we can rest. We can rest in God in a deeper way. And from resting in God in a deeper way, we can move out into the world with intention, and really do things that really change the world in wonderful, magnificent ways. And that's the whole point of the creation story. That's really, this pattern is repeated throughout the scriptures over and over again. And it's very, very explicit. When we get to our second part of the course, it's going to be very, maybe the latter part of the course, be very explicit in the way that Jesus lived his life. We're going to see a very distinct pattern once we understand this Genesis model of how Jesus basically relied on this model to guide him through his life, even up to his last words on the cross. I mean, this is how much in rhythm he was with this Genesis model. So I want to spend a few moments seeing how we can apply this. So we know what's the Genesis model. First part is what? Void. Second part is creation. Third part is Sabbath, which takes you back to void. Very good. Okay, now we're ready. Okay, so I want you to reflect upon for a few moments how you can incorporate the Genesis model into your life. Think about it on the macro level and the micro level. So think about it from a big scale, and think about it on a small scale. So how can you incorporate the Genesis model into your life? Remember, you already got it. You should avoid the creative activity and Sabbath. There's one, particularly for those who have been in Bible class for the last 2 or 3 years, there should be one that you should really get. You should really know. Okay? And it should be really obvious. It should be really obvious. But okay, I'm gonna give you 6 minutes and 30 seconds to work with this. Okay?
Together?
Yeah, you do it together. Yeah, do it together.
So we came up with the first one while we have meditation. And then meditation.
Like, like people are like on like things that annoy you, like any annoying stuff in your life, but you can try to like fix it, but then like eventually you'll forget it. It is what it is. Or else you can, I know, I don't live by this, but like not with her, but like at work and stuff, there's like always things happening.
The boy part is the part that you communication part, okay.
Or like in the weeds, like something is not right, like anything, like your schedule gets messed up, you'll like try to how eventually, like things that you like pour your energy into, like why is this, like, right, and then like focus on all of it eventually.
What do you got? Within Yes, she was on the answer. No pressure. So we can talk about it and then someone we sit on a micro and a macro level.
It's gonna take a long time. The only time we do it, our purpose is to
3 o'clock in the morning.
see, I'm okay with that, when you're in the fast lane, you're actually just.
I don't know why we did it in the fast lane.
Why are we still in this lane? Why are we? I feel like it's like you shouldn't be you're like eating and it's just like you die. Take a break and then you're like food is like
So now maybe you're on the Sabbath because you're like creating and trying to get off the
I mean, I can very, you know, when you
changes a lot. Like we did. One person there.
and the whole day community, you can help your family, and you're like, young, it's like, you can do this, you know,
So that's the boys. Sabbath.
Thirty seconds. 30 seconds.
Yeah, oh, I think 6.5. We can have 6.5.
Wake up, you're bored. It's like they're starting that day.
That's health.
Going up to bed. It's like you go through every day.
That's gotta be important. Right. I don't watch that. I bet it was that when you find all that. Then you all
Okay. Let's see what you got. Now, I'm looking for 2 answers in particular. Nothing will get on this board unless there's a 2 answers. I'm not writing anything down, okay?
Can I ask you a question before you write?
Two
answers. The other things like prayer and meditating, do we ever say that good works or good deeds are Sabbath or, teaching Sunday school, going to church, is that Sabbath? What do you?
I'm not gonna answer any questions to me. I'll be looking, let's say the
I
question.
think it depended on like why you were doing it.
Okay, let's start with your table. Okay, so I want the best one at your table. The best one.
We went with the problem that we didn't try to resolve it, we put all things into it.
Okay, so the void doesn't change because the void is the mystery of God, the fact that God's time is God's time and God's way is God's way. It's just the mystery of God. So the void doesn't change. This is always the same. Whether we acknowledge that, whether we respect that, whether we allow ourselves to be immersed in that is our decision, but the void doesn't change. So the mystery of God, the timing of God, the ways of God doesn't change. It's always going to be beyond our ways. So void, and from the void there's activity. So give me what's the activity that you had? What's the creation? What's the creation?
Well, we had a broader one, we had weekly cycles, like you work all week.
Okay, work all week. Okay.
And then Sunday is the day of rest day.
Okay, so that's so yeah, the void. You work all week. You try to be as good as a person as you can. You try to be as good as you can in your actions and your conduct and your words. Okay, and then Sunday, rest. But not just rest and not just coming to church, but really Sunday being a day in which I'm intentionally trying to connect and surrender and trust that God is God. That's when Sunday is really, that's when worship is really the way it should be, when I'm trusting, when I'm surrendering to God. So okay, that's good. That's good. Okay. You want to go next?
Yeah,
Okay.
because you said what we said. You really.
What?
Well, no, what we said is during the week.
Okay.
Whether you're creating, trying to solve problems and so forth. And even we took it as far as going to trying to mend the friendship.
Okay, that's a whole different thing. Now you don't, you go something.
But you're trying to solve a problem and you're creating throughout the week
Okay.
and so forth. And at some point, which we call the Sabbath day, that's when you sit at rest. You appreciate what you've done, but you also meditate at that point on God and say, I am.
Okay.
He is.
Okay, that's good. I think I will give that the bronze medal so far. That gets the bronze medal. I'm interested, but I am interested in how the friend thing. Tell me about the friend thing. Tell me what the creation. No, not long. Tell me what the creation is and what the Sabbath is for the friend analogy. That's
The let's just say the creation is creating a friendship.
Okay.
I'm just trying to break it down to something very simple.
right.
Creating a friendship.
Okay.
And you do everything you can.
Uh-huh.
You poured out all of your energy and you still almost seem exasperated that you haven't created completely what you wanted to. And at some point you have to stop. And you have to remain in the I am and He is and God.
That's good. Now you're cooking with juice. That's good. Stop right there. That's perfect. That's perfect. So the friend. So you have to avoid the doing all you can, the concept of friendship, and then realizing that it's not all you. You can't. You just only got so much you can do.
Right.
And just trusting and resting, and what the friendship will be what it is. That's very good. That's a macro level. Micro. This is very good. Very good. Okay, that's 2 good ones. Who wants to go next? Go.
We said dreams.
Okay, dreams. Good. Go.
She was saying in reference to when you said if you been here for the past 2 or 3 years.
Right.
But as you were saying, dreams, I guess, the one would be you sleep, you in your
Uh-huh.
subconscious mind, and then, your interaction, the creation will be your interaction with, God, and then Sabbath, I guess you awaken and actually applying.
You almost got it. That was it though. Almost got it. Okay, what's the Sabbath? What's the Sabbath?
So the Sabbath would be when if you wake up in the morning, you have your prayer time, you do your water prayer, you listen for God, you make your list of the things to do, you enter, if it's in the day, if you're gonna go so far and maybe midday have a prayer time where you're quiet, and then at the end of the evening, you go back to sleep, and then the void, and then you start over again, micro, but then you could do it the same way for the week, where Monday through Friday, you may go to work, and then you get at the end of the week, you go to church, or you have your worship time, and then you start, the cycle starts all over again. So
Okay.
it could happen on a day, during the course of the day, and it can also happen during the course of the week.
Okay, let's stick with that because y'all are real close. So that's the one I want everyone to know. Okay, so you have the let's start off with you have your activity throughout the course of the day. So your activity and you doing. You know, your task, your job, whatever. Okay. And then you come to the end of the day and you have a time of stillness right before you go to sleep. So that stillness, so that 3 minutes of silence, that cutting off all the lights, all the electronic devices and just being still. If you could only do it for 3 minutes, just do it for 3 minutes. And that stillness, maybe reading a devotion, maybe reading the scripture right before you go to sleep. Transitioning into sleep. Sleep is the unconscious. Sleep is the void. Okay, so that unconscious state where you don't know, I mean, this state is a mystery. You don't know everything that's going on. You don't know what's happening, but this is a powerful example of the creation model, of the unconscious state, which is sleep.
What does the dream fit in?
Well, I mean,
I consciously can remember my dreams. So I thought the dream would be the creation, and then how you apply and, you know, that's where God speaks to you.
No, the dreams what happen in the sleep state. Because this is the sleep state is when you are revitalized, when you are just resting in the mystery, resting in the unknown.
So that's the Sabbath.
Yeah, this is the void. The sleep is the void. The sleep is the void. Okay? The activity is what you do throughout the day. The stillness, this is the Sabbath. The Sabbath is the stillness that you incorporate in your life before you go to sleep, before you enter into the void. Sleep, activity, stillness. So whatever you do, that devotion right before you go to sleep, that's the Sabbath. Now how this gets distorted is, and why some of us are kind of out of sync. One way that we're out of sync, if you talk about a whole year last year in reference to our devotional life, is we don't have good sleep hygiene anymore.
Right.
So what we do is we do, and have only a few hours of sleep. They're not good sleep. They're not deep REM sleep like we talked about last year. And we never really get to rest in the void. We never really get to have that deep sleep, which replenishes us, which allows us to go back and do life-giving things in the course of the day. So we stay up all night, internet, TV, phone, whatever we're doing, we never rest in the void, and therefore when it's time for us to get up, we're not really having a life-giving, life-sustaining life. Now this is one way that we can look at this. Sleeping, having good sleep hygiene is one way that we can practice Sabbath on a 24-hour rhythm. And it doesn't take much. I mean, like we talked about last year, just start with 2 minutes, 3 minutes before you go to sleep, cut off all the lights, and just sit in a chair for 3 minutes. Just sit in a chair for 3 minutes, no lights, no electronics, and then go to sleep. Say a Bible passage to yourself. I mean, it can be very, very simple, but you want to be entering into this void in a very, very intentional way. So that's good. Excellent. Who's next? Quarter table.
We we use our own example.
Okay,
So our example's not gonna fit what you're looking for on your.
Okay.
Okay.
I do know now.
So, Marjorie gave a good example of, my business. So in the void, it's the unknown of what's next. And the creation is creating the product and doing all it takes to get it up and running and moving. And then the rest is letting all the work that you put into it, the marketing, the creating the products, creating the brand, and letting it stick, letting it, I guess, resound with people, letting people latch on to the idea of it.
Good.
So
No, that's a good example. That's a good example. And that can be applied to any goal. So you have the void, you have pursuing after a goal, doing all you can to pursue after that goal, and then letting that goal manifest, letting that goal stick. Okay, that works. Cool. We got 2 tables left. Everyone's quiet, they go. What you got? Go. Go. What you got?
Okay, well, we talked about the sleep.
Okay, good, good,
You
good.
know,
Okay.
being active during the day and, you know, but doing 30 minutes, the 30 minutes that we talked about.
Okay.
Last time, you know, 30 minutes prior to
Uh-huh.
going to sleep and then going to sleep. That was,
Okay, perfect. We good. Y'all wanna share, or y'all good?
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, well, our help is basically like when we come home in the evening, after having a busy day, and just going in, not turning on anything, but just taking a moment to just relax and enjoy the quiet and be still.
Okay, excellent, that's good, that's good. So we have, so the first one with let them sleep, all those are good, all those are valid. Sleep, let's talk about the void, and then let's talk about eating. Activity, creation is eating, and then what the Sabbath is fasting. And fasting just means giving your digestive system a rest. So at the very least, so every one of us should be doing a daily fast. So a daily fast, the most basic fast you can do is you should have a food curfew. Everyone should have a big curfew and a food curfew. But a food curfew is, I will put nothing in my mouth but water after 9 or maybe 10, depending on what your schedule is, or 8, ideally 7. But I will put nothing in my mouth but water after this. So what happens is you give your body a chance to rest. You give your mind you give your whole system a chance to rest, and you can now focus more. You can rest more, and you can return to this void. And this is really one of the primary rhythms throughout the whole religious tradition, of all religious traditions, of connecting to and allowing yourself to be immersed in the presence of God, is having a break from eating, having a Sabbath from eating. It's very, very, very important. So eating, and then you've already said it. So you already had the weekly activity, and then just worship. But worship should be, it should increase your trust, should lead to greater surrender. Worship that leads to trust, leads to surrender, leads to internal, not necessarily, but internal stillness. So you're not as anxious, you're not trying to just, make the problem go away. You're not trying to just get rid of the problem or trying to hurry up and do it. So it should lead to some type of internal stillness, worship that leads to these things. So that is Sabbath, and that allows us to return back to the void. Now, these three models.
So the void in this particular case is just belief?
No, well, the void is always the same. It can be manifested ways, but the void is always the unknowability, the higher way of God. So, yeah. So just think about, the passage was saying, my way is not your way. my path is not your path, my time is not your time. And so just trusting in that there's a way that's beyond what we'll be able to understand. That's always the void. That's always the void. And it can be in different ways. So sleeping, eating, and our weekly activity, and then return to worship. Worship returns back to the void.
Can you use this in a very quick moment too? Like, can you apply it? We were just talking about, like road rage incident or something. Can you apply this model at that moment?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, say that again so everyone hear it.
We were thinking about a road rage incident. Can you apply this model
To road rage.
to road rage? So
Yeah.
if somebody cut you off, you immediately want to ran the back of your, or front of your car.
Yeah.
And instead you do a Sabbath activity where you're praying or just wanting to be peaceful. Is that applying that?
Yeah. Okay. So let's give an example of road rage. Somebody cuts me off. I beat my horn. I go like this. What's up? Why'd you do that? You know, I do something. He doesn't seem to care. She doesn't seem to care. So what happens next? I just come back. I retreat. I let it go. I be still. I pray. Maybe I say I pray word, something like that. That's very quick. Activity, Sabbath, return to. God gonna work on him, work on her some way, somehow. I don't know how, I don't know why, but some way, somehow. So, yeah, but so this should be done on the micro level and on the macro level throughout our course of the day. And when we get to talk about Jesus, we'll see that Jesus does this in very quick ways when he's dealing with his disciples. He acts, he pulls back, he trusts, and then he surrenders it to his Father. And that's really it can be done in drawn out terms, and it can be drawn in very short terms. But you see that when Jesus gets into his rhythm, which is the rhythm of how creation came into existence, we're aligning ourselves with something so much bigger and so much greater than us. Because the only other option is for us to kind of fight through it and figure it out and do it ourselves. And it's always dependent on our resources, our intelligence, our energy level, our patience level at that moment. So we're always going to be limited. But when we tap into this model, we're allowing ourselves to be immersed in something that is so much greater and beyond, and we open up our possibilities of what can be. Just like we talked about a few Sundays ago, you can't have the possibility of God if you want to continue to stay in your reality. You have to enter into the reality of God so that you can get the possibilities of God.
You said it again?
You can't have the possibilities of God if you want to stay in your reality. You have to enter into the reality of God in order to access the possibilities of God. And really, this is really an invitation to enter into the reality of the divine. My way is greater than your way. My thoughts are higher than your thoughts. Because when we can enter into this reality of God, then we tap into, with God all things are possible. They're possible because I'm in the reality of God. I'm not in my reality. See, my reality is I can only do what my patience will allow, what my limited love will allow, what my limited knowledge will allow. That's my reality. It's only that, and so my reality is always limited to what's possible for me. But if I enter into the void, if I enter into this reality, then literally anything is possible. So we have to make a choice. Do we want things that are possible for us, or do we want to move into a greater realm of greater possibility? But that requires entering into the reality of God. And the perfect example is the rich young ruler. Jesus said, "Listen, I want to offer you a life of peace and joy and unbelievable, fulfillment." And then so what the rich young ruler said, "That's great, I want that." And then Jesus said, "Go sell all you have and come follow me." He said, "I don't want to enter that reality." I don't want that reality. So, and that's your choice, but you're not going to get that possibility either. And it means that there has to be something that we surrender, rest, and surrender and trust, and still is in order to enter into that reality of God.
Can you use this really big then and say all the activity in creation is life, because God created us, and we create throughout our whole life, and then ultimate Sabbath is good?
Yes. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that and how yes, that is actually one we could use. Pam said that could we use this, our whole life is creation, and then the Sabbath is death. And what does death do? Death returns us back to our Creator. That's why as a person of faith, we should never fear death, because there has to be death. We have to die in order to be reunited with our Creator. It's nothing to fear. It's nothing to be upset about. It's a necessary Sabbath. And when we fight death, actually that's very good. When we fight death, we're really fighting the natural process of the world that is used to return us back to the mystery of the void. It's nothing to fear. It's a necessary part of the whole Genesis model. There has to be death, because death death in and of itself is sleep. It's rest. And that also includes, when Jesus, in a metaphorical sense, when Jesus always invited someone, he said, listen, if you want to follow me, you're going to have to die. You're going to have to die. And death, even metaphorical death, is a form of Sabbath as well. It all returns back, it all goes back to the trust, to the surrender, so I can get back to the reality of God, where all these things are possible, where my life will be so much bigger, so much grander, so much broader than anything I could ever imagine. And it might not look the way I wanted it to, but it will be so much richer and deeper than I could ever imagine.
So your idea of what's grand and great changed.
Exactly. Your idea of what grand is. Yeah, everything changes when you enter into this. Everything changes when you enter into this. So this making sense? Okay, good. Okay, well let's do a couple of slides. Y'all are right on point. We're going to be ready to really analyze the life of Jesus if we keep on going at this pace, because y'all are getting it. Okay. So let's look review. There was a sound, there was the word, there was the vibration. The sound, the vibration forms creation. So that's the first beginning. There's a lifelong struggle is to be created by the vibration or to be reshaped by other vibrations of the Creator. We're going to look at one great example of that. We're going to view that. So the lifelong struggle, all throughout the scriptures, it's the same script over and over again. The scriptures are really the whole Bible, which is, the Bible is not a book, the Bible is a library. The Bible is 66 books if you're Protestant. There's a few more books in the Orthodox and Catholic Church. But there's only one story in the Bible, and the story is, will I be created and recreated by the Creator, by the sound, by the voice, by the vibration of the Creator, or will I allow myself to be reshaped, bent out of shape by other people's words, vibrations, and sounds? That's the only thing. That's life. That's our whole life in a nutshell. That every moment of our lives, we make a conscious decision or unconscious decision to be created anew in the image of our Creator, or to be reshaped and bent out of shape by the vibrations of others. So like I said on Sunday, we should have the mentality, as soon as we wake up, this is what I would say everyone should be doing. Everyone should be starting their day prostrate. That's just me. Prostrate, laid out on your knees, and seeking the voice of the Creator. At least, doing some type of centering, some type of devotion, because it's so important to seek God's voice, seek the Creator's voice at the beginning. Because by the time you walk out the door, by the time you step your foot out the door, any other voice that you hear, there should only be one question. That question should be, is this voice I'm hearing, is this voice grounded in the voice of the Creator? If it is, then I absorb it. If it's not, I don't absorb it. And I keep on going. But I can't do that if I'm not calibrated at the beginning of the day. So I have to be calibrated at the beginning of the day, because every person I interact with, it's just one simple question: is this voice, is this sound coming from the sound, the voice of my Creator? If it is, I absorb it. If it's not, I don't. It's just that simple. I just don't absorb it. And I keep on going. So you're not going to bend me out of shape. So I'm calibrated at the beginning. I'm going to have to be calibrated in the middle of the day to get myself back. But I'm always calibrating myself to the voice of the Creator, to the vibration of the Creator, so that I will be created and not be bent out of shape and reshaped. In this system, we talk about sin. So sin is simply when I allow myself to be impacted, to be reshaped by another vibration. And we talked about other vibrations coming to existence when any intention is used for the created, for myself and not for my creator. So we talked about Lucifer. Lucifer was created by God. Lucifer was good. But when Lucifer said, I want people to worship me, then that vibration got bent. And that vibration now is a vibration different from the creator.
So if we understood this when we were very young, say, as children, and we're ultimately saying, really our happiness is in God's hands and our hands. It's really our choice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if we really believe that, so teach our children this. But if they're unhappy, it's something that they've chosen.
Yeah, we choose. That's definitely true. We choose what we will listen to, what we respond to, what we will absorb.
So depression, things like that, is so self-absorption.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So it's like
kids get it. I was just at Arrowhead last Thursday, and they did a healthy mind challenge, and the reward was just crazy to me. The reward, they said, if you all can go a week without watching TV or doing the internet or doing your cell phone, Reverend, we was gonna come in and teach you yoga and do meditation with you.
Okay. All right.
That was one of the ones. That wasn't the only one. But I mean, so I went last Thursday. I did. It was different age groups, different age groups, and they came in and they kids get it. They love it. I mean, they love it. So I said, are we gonna do some meditation? Yay, meditation time! They absolutely love it. And I mean, and they get it very quickly. They get it very quickly that, nobody can take your peace away, you can give it away. They love that stuff. So I mean, I think kids are very more open to it than what we realize. So we look at remember last week we looked at Genesis 16? Let's open up our Bibles. I'm sorry. I'm doing that. I got the Genesis model in my head. So,
Genesis model.
Genesis model, right. Exodus 16. We're going to just do that very briefly because I want us to make sure we got it.
Did you say Exodus?
Exodus.
Exodus.